Jennifer Giesbert from the Area Agency on Aging Adult Protection Department. We're here to talk about adult protection response as it interfaces with EMS and law enforcement. And with me today is...
I'm Rob Wakely. I'm the chief of Bonner County EMS, and like you, I'm here to learn about the Area Council on Aging.
Right. So one of the things that we've talked about in the past at the multidisciplinary team for Bonner County vulnerable and elder abuse team is the response that happens. You guys go out, we get a call, both of us get a call, and we realize that there are needs.
Right. We go out to someone's house, either they're calling or maybe a family member is calling,
Right.
and they're concerned about the physical welfare. We go out and discover an environment that we think may not be safe or may not be optimal for that person.
Right.
We need to know what to do.
Right. And so it looks bad, it looks dangerous, it looks like their health and safety may be compromised in some way.
Right.
So what we're looking at from the adult protection standpoint is, can this person make, communicate, and implement a decision? And that's very complicated because we can't always determine that on the spot. But are they impaired enough to take them to the hospital? What do you see?
Well, most of the time, the decision to take someone to the hospital, most of the time they're very cooperative and they'll go to the hospital. But every once in a while, we know someone's genuinely very, very sick and they refuse to go to the hospital.
Right.
And but they may not be what we call oriented. We ask people questions like, do you know what day it is? Do you know where you are? Do you know who the president is? Do you know what the month and the year? If they can't answer those questions, they're not oriented. And if they refuse to go with us, as EMS workers, we don't have the power to deprive that person of their liberty to take them, so we have to call in law enforcement. And my understanding is that law enforcement can take custody of that person and take responsibility for them under certain circumstances.
Right, and so that's really what we're rubbing up against here, because for them to meet that standard of taking custody, the person has to be unable to act on their own behalf, to either muster resources or to protect themselves. And it's a very high standard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one that we don't often reach.
Right.
So it may look very bad, and law enforcement may have to back off. And you guys too, when you've responded, you may have to back out of the situation. And so there we are, and we've got this person that's significantly impaired. You guys it doesn't reach the standard to take them into custody.
Right, that makes perfect sense in a way to me, because you're really depriving someone of their liberties when you're taking them somewhere against their will, and that's a big deal.
That is a really big deal.
And then we're left with people that EMS and law enforcement and family members have really genuine concern about, and we wonder, what can we do? It doesn't meet the standard that you're talking about, but we still feel like the person isn't able to thrive and they're at risk.
Right, and so that's exactly where Adult Protective Services comes in. We help muster resources, and we also help to investigate and put in place things that will help the individual as well as the family members protect that person.
What kind of things can you do?
Well, we can discover what family do they have, what connections do they have, whether it's neighbors or church or family members either in the area directly or maybe closer, like maybe Washington State, but someone that we can get to engage with that individual. If it's a significant issue that needs immediate attention, like medical or basic needs like food or electricity, things like that, we can interact with people that provide those services and expedite getting those things in place. If we believe that those basic needs are not being met, that the person doesn't reach the standard of being held in custody and transported, we can work with doctors to say, you know what, I'm really concerned. I don't think this person will live through the weekend. And the doctor can order a bed, and then we can help negotiate with the individual to say, you know what, this is what we're proposing.
So you really act as an advocate.
We are an advocate, yes, we are an advocate. But we're also charged with a higher standard, and that is to provide services that muster resources and help the individual to protect themselves. So that's what we're trying to do. We don't reach the standard of putting them in custody.
So you're fostering these folks to have independence within the
Yes.
community.
Yes,
Okay.
empowering them, saying you have control of this. We're not trying to take control away from you, but we are very concerned about this. There are times when individuals say, "Look, this is the way I want to live, and this is America." They have the right to say that.
So if I'm an EMS worker or a police officer or a firefighter or a concerned family member, I can call your agency and say,
Absolutely.
I need help. I don't know what to do.
Absolutely, and we often partner with EMS and partner with law enforcement to be that first interface with the individual to go in and say, we want to preserve all of your rights. We want to help you get the things that you need. What do you want? How can we help you? And none of us can do this alone. We can't, Adult Protective Services can't do it alone. You guys can't do it alone. It often takes a whole team.
And I'm really glad that you mentioned that. There are often misconceptions about EMS in particular, that we're just there to give people a ride to the hospital in the ambulance. And there's so much more that we do. We do, as you know, welfare checks.
Right.
And that means that anyone can call and say, I'm concerned about my grandmother, and this is the address that she lives in. I think she might not be taking her medications and she's not feeling well, or
Right.
she's not answering the phone, or one of your workers comes by and thinks there might be a medical problem. We'll go out and we'll check it out.
Right.
And we won't necessarily take anybody to the hospital. And if we go to someone's home and we do some diagnostic things and we take a look at someone and we don't take them to the hospital, nobody gets charged. That's a free service to taxpayers.
Well, and I didn't even know that, so that's a big thing.
You only get charged when you get taken to the hospital, but anyone, right now, only about 60% of our calls do we actually take someone to the hospital.
Okay.
40% of the calls, we're showing up, we're having a conversation with the patient, we're checking them out, and they're making a decision either not to go to the hospital at all. Some people make the decision to go in their own vehicle, and sometimes if there's question or they're nervous, we'll say, how about if we follow you to the hospital, and if anything happens, pull over and we'll take care of you. And they're not charged for that either.
See, that's wonderful to know. I mean, that's good for the community to know in general, but also your partners. So there was a time when you guys had gone out to see an individual and she refused transport, but she was quite ill.
Right.
And the next day, then law enforcement called, said we're really concerned. And so the Area Agency on Aging, Adult Protective Services went in, did an evaluation with her, tried to convince her to accept some services. She was not well enough to do that. So Adult Protective Services went back and called the doctor. The doctor ordered a bed. I called EMS, asked you guys to show up, called law enforcement, asked them to show up. And we all went in and said to this woman, will you please, we want to help make sure that you're well. We're just proposing a temporary, but let's get you in and get you checked out. Law enforcement was there, could have placed custody if they needed to, but it was that coming together of all of those entities that was thrilling to see. This woman got up and with paramedics under each arm, went to the hospital, was transported. So it was a great outcome, but none of us individually could have done that for her. It was really the coordination.
That's really what this multiple disciplinary team that you put together is all about,
Yes.
is getting people like EMS and you and law enforcement and other organizations in the community to come together
Yes.
to address this very significant problem of how we're dealing with our aging population and how compassionate that we're being
Right.
in doing that.
And least restrictive, preserving their independence.
Okay.
That's what it's about.
We're almost out of time. How does one get a hold of your agency?
Well, we have an 800 number, and it will be posted at the end of this video, as well as a local number. We have offices in Sandpoint and in Coeur d'Alene, and we serve all 5 counties in Region 1. So they make a call, even if they get a voicemail, we check that number regularly at least every 24 hours, and we will respond. So we are looking forward to being partners with not only agencies, law enforcement, EMS, but other individuals who support surrounding our seniors with the things they need to be independent.
That's great. And we're going to post this on YouTube, and we're going to put all the contact information on the YouTube
Yes,
video.
and we'll be following up with some more discussions like
Okay.
this.
It was great talking to
Yeah,
you today.
great, thank you.
Thank you.